G'day guys, we finally have the index for World Eaters in our hands, so let's have a look at what these blood-soaked maniacs can do in 10th edition Warhammer 40k.
Look for the blood god.
Alright, now let's have a look at the Lord Invocatus. Now this guy was previously one of the top units in the World Eaters Codex. It was something that everybody took without even questioning it because he provided a pre-game move to your units, which was really valuable. However, now that is baked into the data sheets of those 8-bound. So a lot of people are thinking, well, you don't really need the Lord Invocatus anymore. However, the thing that's worth noting is he still provides it to things like Exalted 8-bound. And Exalted 8-bound can now be taken in units of 6. So now, instead of going, okay, we have to take regular 8-bound because they're core and they have the keywords required for using the stratagems, you can actually attach Lord Invocatus to a unit of Exalted 8-bound and then pre-game move them in a similar fashion to what we used to do with regular 8-bound, which is going to make this guy really crazy. But let's have a look at some of the things that he does specifically when attached to a unit. Alright, we've already talked about how you can attach him to units, and he can also pick 2 units and make a 6-inch pre-game move with them, known as a scout move in 10th edition. And this is obviously really powerful on infantry units like Exalted 8-bound. It's also really powerful on things like your Chaos Terminators, because they only have a 5-inch move characteristic, so being able to scout move them 6 inches actually gives you more than an entire movement phase with these guys. So there's a few really interesting options there. But the main ability that he has, which is absolutely critical for any combat-based army, is the ability to fall back, shoot, and then charge. Now, when you attach him to a unit of Exalted 8-bound, not only is he giving them the ability to fall back, shoot, and charge, but the Exalted 8-bound have an ability that is likely to prevent your opponent from being able to fall back. And what this means is that you can charge into one unit, kill it, consolidate into another, now you're locked in combat, they can't fall back from that combat, and therefore they can't shoot your Lord Invocatus or your Exalted 8-bound. Then we tick over into their turn, you kill that unit, then in your turn you're free to go and charge other things, and if you fail to kill that unit and you're still locked in combat with it, it's okay, because in your turn you can fall back and then move in and charge again. So the amount of damage that this guy can do is huge with those Exalted 8-bound, and the flexibility that he provides them is also huge. It's also worth noting that the new way of dealing with the Alpha Strike for the 8-bound, previously it was, he gave an aura of +2 to move, so you'd move 11 inches pre-game, and then 11 inches in your first turn for a 22-inch move, and then you'd go in for the charge. Whereas now, you get your pre-game movement of 6, but then in your movement phase, you can move 11, then you can use the stratagem to auto-advance 6 inches. Then if you have the blessings up to advance and charge, you're then free to go in and do that 2d6 charge as well, which essentially means you've got roughly the same threat range. It's just you have to get about it a slightly different way. But ultimately, when you're going up against this, you need to think of it the same. You need to look at where those 8-bound are deployed and imagine they have that same threat range turn 1. They're going to be able to go across the table and do all this damage, but on top of that, they're now going to be locking you in combat, and then in their turn, falling back and then charging back into that combat again. So again and again, they're going to hit you over and over, and it's going to be very hard to shut this down, which is going to be particularly interesting because it's looking like 10th edition is going to be a primarily shooting meta. That's what it's looking like. So being able to dominate that fight phase in a way that shooting armies are going to struggle to deal with is going to be very powerful. And I think if wielded well, this is going to win a lot of games. But let me know what you guys think of the Lord Invocatus. He lost his ability to ignore invulnerable saves, so his damage characteristic is a little bit less. He lost his aura of +2 to move, so he's a little bit less of a force multiplier in that regard, but he does buff the unit he's attached to significantly more. So I'd love to know what you guys think of the new Lord Invocatus data sheet. Chuck a comment below and let's get a conversation going.
Look for the blood god.
community suffers from some of the most prohibitively expensive essentials in the world, especially Australian content creators. Every single day, Dean wants to create content, but he can't. Suffering from old, worn-out brushes, expensive model kits, and costly software and equipment he can't endure much longer. Just look at this dirty paint water. Would you drink this? Would you let your child? Even a small monthly donation can help provide Dean with clean paint water, basic tools for survival, and access to life-saving information and education. So please, follow the links in the description below and find out how you can sponsor Dean today and end the suffering. Suffering that is cruel, unsustainable, and your